The Chicago Bears woke up the entire league last winter. A 12-6 record, an NFC North crown, a wild card comeback so violent it buried the Green Bay Packers under 25 fourth-quarter points. Then came the gut punch in Los Angeles, an overtime loss to the Rams, ending everything with one swing. This team scared people, and one pass rusher, a young one nobody outside Halas Hall talks about, holds the key to whether this season ends in the same heartbreak or somewhere no Bears fan has stood in decades. Start with the quarterback. Caleb Williams enters year 3 after shredding the franchise record book with 3,942 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. His teammates call him Iceman. Madden put him on the cover. Colston Loveland exploded as a rookie and led the whole roster in receiving. Rome Odunze and Luther Burden give Williams a young trio built to grow together. Then Chicago did something strange. They shipped out their highest paid receiver, a man they once handed the biggest contract in team history. The reason changes how you see this entire offense. The defense tells a wilder story. Chicago forced more takeaways than any team in football, then watched its pass rush vanish when it mattered. Dennis Allen rebuilt the back end with a Super Bowl champion safety and a first-round rookie. Montez Sweat still anchors the edge. The schedule waiting for them is the hardest in the NFL, stacked with the champion Seattle Seahawks, the Rams, who ended their season, and 2 December meetings with Green Bay. Everything points to one question. Are the Bears ready to stop knocking on the door and kick it down? But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Bears and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 500 likes on this video. Chicago spent a decade searching for a quarterback. They finally have one. Caleb Williams turned his second season into a statement, setting a Bears single-season record with 3,942 passing yards, while throwing 27 touchdowns against only 7 interceptions. Critics spent the offseason claiming he fails to play on schedule. The film says otherwise. Under head coach Ben Johnson, Williams operated from the pocket, worked under center, and leaned on play action more than any point in his young career. The label stopped matching the tape. Look closer, and the leap becomes obvious. Williams added 388 rushing yards and 3 scores with his legs. He led 6 fourth-quarter comebacks in the regular season, then delivered a franchise playoff record of 361 passing yards in the wild-card win over Green Bay. Luther Burden handed him the Iceman nickname for a reason. The bigger the moment, the calmer he got. Chicago climbed from the worst offense in football in 2024 to a top 10 unit in a single year. Williams was the engine. The setup for year 3 looks even better. Ben Johnson still calls the plays. JT Barrett still runs the quarterback room. Press Taylor slides into the offensive coordinator chair after Declan Doyle left for Baltimore, so the system stays intact. Continuity like this rarely lands in a young quarterback's lap. The next step is simple and brutal at once. Williams has to turn those flashes into week-to-week consistency and hit the easy throws he left on the field. Do it, and the ceiling climbs toward the names at the top of the league. Now flip to the pass catchers, because this group carries the future. Colston Loveland arrived as the 10th overall pick and turned into the best rookie tight end in football. He caught 58 passes for 713 yards and 6 touchdowns, leading every Bears pass catcher and becoming the first rookie to top the team in receiving yards since 1983. Chicago named him Rookie of the Year. He saved his best for January, hauling in 8 catches for 137 yards against Green Bay in the playoffs. Around Loveland sit 2 ascending wideouts. Rome Odunze steps into the number 1 role for year 3 after posting 661 yards despite missing 5 games with a foot injury. Luther Burden caught fire down the stretch of his rookie season and looks ready to command targets in year 2. Cole Kmet remains a trusted veteran, and the Bears spent a 3rd-round pick on tight end Sam Roush to add even more size. Caleb Williams walks into this season with more young talent around him than any Chicago passer in memory. Here's the part nobody saw coming. To clear the runway for these young players, Chicago moved on from the most productive receiver of the group's recent past. The front office made a bet, a bold one, and it sent a shockwave through the league when it landed. Fans argued. Analysts questioned it. Some called it a steal. Others called it a gamble on kids who have never carried an offense alone. The full story behind the move sits at the heart of this entire season, and it explains everything about how Chicago sees itself now. Time for the number Chicago wants you to forget. The Bears finished with 35 sacks in 2025. Only 6 teams in the entire league manage fewer. For a defense with playoff dreams, a pass rush ranked near the bottom is a flashing red warning light. Opposing quarterbacks stood in clean pockets and picked Chicago apart in the games the Bears lost. Dennis Allen dialed up blitzes on 28% of dropbacks, and still the pressure rarely arrived. A great defense never wins on smoke and mirrors forever. Then comes the twist. The same defense forced more takeaways than every other team in the NFL. Chicago turned interceptions and fumbles into wins all season long, riding a turnover margin no one else matched. So the unit was elite and broken at the same time. Feast or famine on every snap. Montez Sweat carried the pass rush almost by himself, posting 10 sacks and leading the team with 44 pressures. The next closest Bear sat at 17. A gap this wide screams for reinforcements. This is the fault line running under Chicago's whole season. Force takeaways and win. Fail to force them and watch a clean pocket carve you up. The Rams exposed it in January, keeping Williams and the offense chasing while their quarterback stayed upright. Fixing the front became the top priority of the offseason, and how the Bears attacked it reveals the blueprint for the entire roster. The names they added and the young player they lean on most turned this weakness into the biggest swing factor of the year. Dennis Allen tore the secondary down and built it back up. Chicago signed Kobe Bryant, a Super Bowl champion safety fresh off a title with Seattle, on a 3-year deal worth $40 million, and he brought 4 interceptions with him. The Bears then spent their first-round pick on Oregon safety Dylan Thieneman, a rangy rookie with the instincts to patrol the deep middle. Add returning cornerback Jalen Johnson, a 2-time Pro Bowler, hungry after an injury wrecked his season, and the back end suddenly looks dangerous. The front got a makeover too. Devin Bush replaced Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker, arriving cheaper and coming off 2 of the strongest seasons of his career. Veteran Grady Jarrett and free agent addition Neville Gallimore reinforced the interior beside a rising Jervin Dexter, who piled up 6 sacks from the inside. Shemar Turner shifts to the edge full-time after a lost rookie year, and Dayo Odeyingbo returns from a torn Achilles, looking to salvage his big contract. Depth arrived at every level of this defense. And here is the player who decides it all. Austin Booker, the young edge rusher teased at the opening, is the swing piece nobody outside Chicago is discussing. He racked up 4.5 sacks over his final 10 games and posted a monster grade in a November win, all while missing 5 games with a knee injury. Line him up opposite Montez Sweat. Let him build on his late momentum, and Chicago finally owns a second genuine pass rush threat. If Booker hits double-digit sacks, this entire defense transforms from opportunistic to feared. No path to January runs around the NFC North. The Green Bay Packers still line up twice a year, once on Christmas Day at Soldier Field, and Jordan Love remains a dangerous arm even after a shaky finish. The Detroit Lions keep punching in a division built on offense. The Minnesota Vikings refuse to fade. Chicago won the crown last season by surviving these 3, pulling out comeback after comeback in the tightest games. Holding the ground a second straight year asks even more. Above the division looms the mountain. The Seattle Seahawks won Super Bowl 60 and stand as the class of the conference, and Chicago travels to face them under the lights. The Los Angeles Rams, who ended the Bears season in overtime, reloaded by trading for Myles Garrett and remain the measuring stick out west. Chicago drew a schedule the league ranked the hardest in football, with opponents who won at a 550 clip a year ago. Road nights and primetime tests fill the calendar. So how do the Bears stack up? The offense finally has weapons, a franchise quarterback, and a coaching staff who flipped the worst offense in football into a top 10 unit in 1 year. The defense forces more takeaways than anyone and now has real depth behind it. The gap between Chicago and the champions is smaller than the national narrative admits. Win the North again, steal a couple of these marquee games, and the Bears announce themselves as a true contender rather than a feel-good story. A team built on late comebacks will not lean on miracles every week forever, and this roster was upgraded to stop needing them. Here is the move changing everything. Chicago traded DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills. 2 years earlier, the Bears handed Moore a 4-year extension worth $110 million, the largest contract in franchise history. Now they sent him to Buffalo for a second-round pick and swapped late-round selections. A playoff team dealing its most accomplished receiver stunned the league. Executives around the NFL struggled to believe Chicago found a buyer willing to absorb the money and still surrender premium draft capital. The reasoning runs deeper than the cap sheet. Moore posted a career low, 682 yards, in 2025, as the young pass catchers rose around him. His chemistry with Caleb Williams never clicked, the way it once did with a different quarterback. Chicago needed cap space to fix the defense, and it believed in Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, and Colston Loveland enough to hand them the offense outright. So the front office cashed in, while the value stood tallest. Ryan Poles turned a looming cap casualty into a second-round pick. And the football gods have a sense of humor. Chicago travels to Buffalo in Week 15 for a primetime Saturday night, which means Moore faces the team who gave him away on the biggest stage. The trade is the clearest signal yet of who the Bears believe they are. They are done being patient. They are betting on youth, betting on Williams, and betting the money saved on one veteran builds a defense good enough to win now. This is the offseason gamble the whole season rides on. So where does this leave the Chicago Bears? On the doorstep. This roster is deeper, younger, and more dangerous than the one who won 12 games and a division title last season. The offense returns its core and its play caller. The defense forces takeaways like no other unit in football and finally added the depth it lacked. The only real question left is the pass rush, and Austin Booker holds the answer. Everything else points toward a team ready to take the leap from playoff crasher to genuine threat. Here's the prediction. Chicago wins 11 games, repeats as NFC North champion, and this time pushes past the divisional round to reach its first NFC championship since the 2010 season. The hardest schedule in football will bruise them, and the champion Seahawks still set the ceiling out west. But this team beats Green Bay at least once, avenges last January, and refuses to fade. Bold claim for the comment section. Caleb Williams finishes inside the top 5 in MVP voting, and nobody in this division is ready to stop him. The margin is thin and the stakes are enormous. So drop your record prediction in the comments and tell me where Caleb Williams finishes in the MVP race, then subscribe before the next breakdown drops. The Bears spent this offseason betting everything on youth, on continuity, and on one young pass rusher flipping the defense. Soon, the pads come on, and the answers start arriving. Training camp opens the door, the preseason cracks it wider, and Week 1 against Carolina kicks it all off. The wait is almost over, and Chicago has never looked more ready.